I've stepped on some toes, and I'm going to tell you what I believe about your podcast. I think because you're so straight on about what you do, you've got some people in some high places sending in trolls. I'm not saying all the time, but you've got them scared because, I mean, everybody can tell you're not lying. I mean, if you just tell it plain and flat out like it is, you can tell when somebody's lying when they just, you know.
Okay. All right. So we're live. We're live right now, Dana. We are now live.
Okay. So where do we start now?
So I don't, if we can get people back in the chat now. We're we got 11 people. Anthony, are you on? Can you do Facebook? Can you get on Facebook and tell people that we're back on or not?
No, I'm banned.
Yeah, I believe that's why you've had some difficulties with some things like on Facebook, because you're uncovering some things. You're getting people to pay attention, and some people are so numb they're not paying attention to the words they're reading. And like when Amber, they said she was trying to climb a tree. Really, both of her arms had been ripped out of the shoulder sockets. One leg, the calf, had been chewed off. She only had one functioning leg. So please tell me how she climb a tree.
Wow.
It happened.
And so I got people telling me that they're not able to comment, that they're not. That's great, dude. So, folks, I'm not, this is really weird, okay? If you don't believe or do believe, I don't really care. You do, but it's pretty ridiculous that they just cut I don't know. I'm not going to say they because I don't know who they are. Like Tolstoy says, the people that say they are people that don't know who they are. They just say it.
Well, we don't know who they are because they're out there.
So I mean, but something weird just happened. It took us forever to get the internet going, and we had a conversation with the internet provider, and they were like, "This should be up. We don't know why it's not working." And then all of a sudden, we couldn't get it going, and now we had 450 people in there, and now it's down to 65.
Wow. Well, see, I get a lot of flack for what I believe, and then I've had trouble with like Messenger and stuff like that, messages just disappearing, so it doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. So for whatever we were talking about, it seems to be, never had this much trouble getting started when there was nothing going on. There was no, like we had the leak in the studio at that one time, but this is just like, there's nothing going on here, okay? Why we could not get going, I have no freaking idea. It was just Anthony was pulling his hair out, and I was trying to talk to people, and and then right when you started to talk, about something, then we're out. Yeah. So sorry, I apologize, folks. I don't know what to do. We didn't do this. I don't know what Let's.
Well, whenever they're listening to all the phone conversations anymore anyway, and if they don't, if you're really hitting hard on something and you're getting people to see, hey, this is going to happen to you more, Josh. So I mean, it's because you're hitting the truth.
I've already been through some stuff. I learned about what to say, like how to say, because you're not supposed to say certain things, and I've already gone through the ringer. And Facebook, man, just forget it, dude. Don't even try.
Oh yeah,
they are so.
Yeah. I know they say they have standards, but they didn't mention that it was below hell standards.
Yeah, they have no standards. I mean, you can talk about murder, death, whatever, but if you talk about anything real, then boom, you're done.
Anything real, anything godly, it's gone. Yeah, it's just.
Stephen Kendrick
we don't have freedom of speech.
Yeah, we don't have freedom of speech. Stephen Kendrick just donated $50. Thank you so much. It says, big fan, wanted to say you should consider Missy Leigh Sterling. I don't know who that is. To speak, especially since Bettina will be the only woman. Bettina's not the only woman. Actually, Ashley will be there too. Same publisher as Steve, Lon, Kenny. She is the expert on pale crawlers and has a book coming out. Dang, I'd like to get her on the show. Steven, hook me up with her. Tell her that I'm interested in talking to her, especially since she's talking about pale humanoids. There's a lot of that. The thing is, where do we go? Because at some point, there won't be any platforms to turn to that you can talk about things. If we don't take control now and start saying, look, because we're not even going to be able to talk about these things. And before you know it, they'll be taking away books. You can't have that.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that book? Why is that book? In Russia, when the communists took over, they went around door to door and they took away books that preached anything. If you had anything about God, if you had anything about, this was the Soviet Union when they first became what they were, and they had killed the Romanovs, and I was just watching a documentary about the Romanovs the other day, and they went around and took away everything that had anything to do with any sort of like individualism, any sort of freedom, any sort of God, anything. I mean, they were absolutely determined. And animals were considered only worth anything if they had a value to people. And when the Chinese developed their brand with Mao, what he did, they killed so many animals that it created like famine, because they killed all the birds and all these animals. They were just wiping them out because they said they had no use, because they weren't useful to humans, and that's what communists do. It says here, Mr. T, my girlfriend and I love PRT podcast. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you for that donation. I appreciate everything that anybody can do. I do take my day to this, and I have to take my Sunday and my Monday to get the show together and get it ready and get it going. And then, it's unfortunate that something like this happened. Marlana, or am I saying it right? Marlana says they are already taking things away. Yep, they are. It's really ridiculous.
We have to be persistent too, Josh. We have to just push back.
Yeah.
You have to.
A lot of weird stuff going on here. I'm hoping that we can get everybody back into the chat. We can get our numbers back up, but it's unfortunate because you had a large audience there that was listening to what you were saying, and then boom.
Oh, we can talk again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Yes, I can see you. She's asking if I can. Yeah, I can see your comments now.
Another thing that's occurred to me. What is it about ditches? Do they know that it might minimize their size? I mean, and to kind of lure people in?
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because the one I saw when I was 15 was in a ditch.
Yeah.
Like, it was sitting in a ditch. I mean, and me and my friend saw it, and it was right there, and it was a block away from us. And so Dick Richards made a good comment. He says the same is being done now, only digitally. They have created the illusion of democracy under the actual gulag. Their job will soon be done. And, of course, Dick, you're living in Canada, where, you have son of Castro. Well, whatever. I get to. Whatever. And like you were saying about how trolls, coming into my... Yeah, I've been attacked nonstop, incessantly.
I think you do a very good job at holding your temper. We can't give the enemy what they want. They want us to lose control. Let's not do it. It's easier said than done, I know.
Barton said that I'm still shut down over there. He's in Tennessee. I mean, in Kentucky. So that area. Hopefully he can get back on.
That I didn't realize it was going that far out, shutting down. Wow.
We got shut down across the board. It just shut down, and we couldn't figure out why. Like, there's no reason why. Like, we just got shut down, and then it wouldn't let us get back on, and we just kept trying, and we didn't do anything different.
No.
We just finally got back.
I try to put myself in the place of these victims. What would I be thinking? Like, if I was the doctor, I can't say that it's for sure what happened, but I believe that doctor, on her way home, she turned around because she believed she saw an injured animal in need, and being an avid animal lover, I think she was going to try to see if there's something she could do, and I believe it set her up. Because her car was still running, the door open and parked, and then they found her in a ditch dead, ripped apart.
Yeah. Yep, I know. And people that there's a lot of people that try to say, oh, well, this they don't hurt people. In fact, one of the biggest Dogman YouTubers out there, I'm not going to say his name, but he's always been promoting that they don't, oh, if they wanted to hurt you, they would. Yeah, they didn't do it, you know. Whatever, dude. I mean, okay, G-Man.
Well, we know he doesn't really like he doesn't really like his fans anyway, the way he talks about them. So maybe he's trying to up. I mean, I don't know. he's
trying to get him eating something. Like
getting eaten.
Well, he's told me they're not worth
stupid.
So what's so funny is that he talks bad about him, and then they just worship him, and then he talks
and then
about
he's singing. Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
He's talking about how stupid
Dogman
they are.
Got to eat too. Yeah, Dogman got to eat too. I saw them meet my fans. I set them up. They won't hurt you.
Unless they're something that we don't really understand, like maybe they're not these dogmen that live out there, but all the time that way. What if these things are actually something more sinister? What if these are high-ranking people that can actually change into these things?
That would not surprise me.
And they got to eat too.
Yeah. Voracious appetite.
Mm-hmm. Ethan Seal. Hey, Ethan says, hello, Josh and PRT Pack brothers and sisters. Been working a lot. Miss you guys dearly. Here's my support. Ethan, and don't forget we're doing a Dogman conference on August 13th in Paris, Tennessee. It's going to be, me and Ken Gerhardt. As soon as the pandemic lifted, we were like back on it. I didn't even say 2 words, and Ken's like, all right, I got the place, we're ready to go. Like Ken's amazing. Like he just went after it. Like he's been doing a lot of work on that. So we're just, there's a lot of hotels up there, folks, and me and the other speakers will be staying at one hotel in particular. But there's going to be the tickets. Somebody had asked in the last thing or whatever, it said how much. I'll tell you how much. The regular tickets are $30. Listen, that's not bad. Not for all you get. Look at how many people are going to be there, how many speakers are going to be there. There's going to be a ton of people and speaking and vendors, and you got an all-star lineup of podcasters and researchers, authors. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, and the VIP tickets are $75. Now, if you're a Patreon member, a $20 tier Patreon member, we will refund you because it's only $20 for the regular ticket and $60 for the VIP ticket. So you got the $10 discount on the regular ticket, and you got a $15 discount on the VIP ticket. I do believe we're only going to have 40 VIP tickets, so that's out of 200. There'll be 265 tickets for sale because it's a 300-person limit, whatever. So minus the people speaking and their significant others. So we have 265 tickets to sell. And the VIP is front row too, and you get to talk. You get to hang out with us Friday night. We're going to make a special get together just for the VIPs. It's just going to be us, a little group that are going to hang out. And we're all going to talk shop, and you're going to it's going to be really cool. I expect those VIP tickets will sell out quickly, so by Bigfoot sighting, refund my donation, please. What are you talking about? What in the heck are you talking about? I don't remember you ever giving me a donation, but whatever. Good night, B. I'll see ya. She said this would happen. I'm not gonna lie. B told me that if I talk about this subject, that this would happen, and you are correct. You are correct. In my Ed McMahon voice, it's very weird that we started talking about this subject, and bam, we got booted. And right when you were about to say something very pertinent, it happened.
I think I was going to the point where you have to rule out dogs. I know they can attack, but most dogs don't usually just have hind feet and hands with claws.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that suggests an upright bipedal canine type predator.
What brought you to the conclusion, though? Like what made you start going after all these stories? Because you've been sending me, stuff for the past, however, and it was a lot of it. Okay, and I didn't have time to go through it all. But what was making you, what was driving you?
I wanted to hear your take on it because I know you're not gonna beat around the bush. You're gonna get right straight to it. I know you'd investigate it, you would research it, you'd do it well, and I believe you could shed some new light. Maybe see something that someone's overlooked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can read something over and over, and sometimes it takes 10, 15 times, and then you saw something. Why didn't I see that before?
Mm-hmm.
It's right there in front of you, but you're missing it. And then all of a sudden, it just like it starts shining. They also said, what most of them haven't said, that Amber was not only ripped apart, but found naked. This is happening a lot where the clothes are removed from these people.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Now, if it's a dog or a shark or any other animal, they don't have the ability to take their clothes off and chew on you.
No, they don't. Yeah, that's right. They might rip them off of you, but they're not going to unbutton them and
they're not
them
able to. But if you are a bipedal canine with a brain like a human, you would not eat the clothes.
That's horrifying. Oh, God.
So that is a weird. Somebody just said that DW stated boats are getting attacked. Yes, they are. That's the truth. He's not lying about that. I did do some looking into that. Now, I did talk to a friend of mine in Louisiana, and they were saying that there were some people who got their boat upended by something. They did not know whether it was bipedal canine or Bigfoot, whatever, but these people got out of that water quickly because it was alligator-infested water. And whatever this thing was, it was large, it was dark, and it was not a gator that had upended their boat. It was something hairy, 8 foot tall. One of them says they saw a snout, the other one says they didn't. So there was a discrepancy there. So I don't know what to make of that. When I do a little more researching into that, I'll tell that story on the show. I probably got a couple thousand stories I got to go through. That's I'm not BSing. I'm telling you not just from Dogman, whatever. I got one that I was going to tell tonight, but I don't know if we're going to have time. That this guy was a rancher, and he was coming back down through Amarillo, and he had stopped and bought a couple horses, and he was taking them down to South Texas, and he stopped in Austin. And he said he had a friend here but they were not in town yet, and they were coming back from Abilene. And they were supposed to meet him, but they had to get back to Austin. So he said, I'm going to meet you there. We're going to meet in Austin. And the person had not showed up yet. So he had to stay the night. And I know where he was at. It was about 3-4 miles from where I live. Now, back at that time, he had a horse trailer now with 2 horses in there, right? He had to back his trailer up into a what was at that time, this was back in the 80s, it was a dead end. It was surrounded by woods. And it was in between Round Rock and Austin. And back then, there was nothing. There was no toll road there. There was nothing. I mean, there was like a little 2-lane road. And when he backed that trailer up to that spot, he figured there's nobody around. Austin wasn't nearly as big as it is now. And I remember Austin back in the 80s. I'd come here all the time with my family. I didn't live here. Came here in 1991. But my mother was already living here in 1990, or she had moved at the end, like I think December of 1990 she came here or something. And then I went to go live with some friends to finish school, but then I ended up eventually moving to Austin. And Austin was a lot smaller and a lot different than it is now. It wasn't like the 9th largest city in the country, okay? And so when he was there was nothing out there. Now, in that same area, my brother and me one time saw these 2 canine. We thought maybe they were just the largest coyotes we'd ever seen. They didn't stand up on their hind legs. They looked identical to each other. So they were the same pack, whatever they were. But I was like right there, close to where he was at. I saw these 2 large gray canines at dusk crawl up underneath the barbed wire fence and run. And when their backs came up, I said, dude, can you believe the size of those dogs? I don't know if they were dogs, wolves, coyotes, or what, but they were huge. Never seen a coyote that big, so maybe a coy wolf or something. We didn't see their heads. All we saw was the backs and their bodies. And so I thought, man, those it would be scary to be walking around out there. There's a lot of habitation out there now too. So somebody be just walking around and run into a couple of those. I don't know what those were, but they were large. And my brother goes, whoa, are those Dogman? Like, we kind of joked about it. Well, This guy, I'll call him Stanley. Stan actually pulled his trailer in. He backed it up. And he had a horrific night with something that came out of the woods about 2 in the morning. He said it was literally 2:01 a.m. He looked at his watch. And he said, hold on one second. People are telling me they can't reconnect.
Oh my God.
This is crazy.
Well, it's not coincidence. It is crazy, though.
Yeah, hold on one second. See if I can do this here. 1 second, folks. Let me finish this story. So what ended up happening was this guy, he pulled his trailer in and he felt the thing rock, and the horses started, flipping out. I mean, they started going crazy and they started kicking and going nuts. He looks into his rearview mirror, the mirror from the right side, the passenger side. And he looks and he's like, what the heck is that? Now, this is what he described to me. He's an older gentleman, and I met him through a listener that knew this guy's story, and he told me what he saw looked like a gray werewolf. And I thought it was funny. The first thing he said when I was able to figure out the location where he was at, I said, "Oh my gosh!" And my brother saw 2 gray wolf-looking creatures, but they didn't stand up. I'm not gonna say they were dogmen, and I don't say I saw it unless it was what I saw the first time. I don't try to claim that I saw a dogman, so I'm not saying that. But they were large, and me and my brother didn't know what they were, and he was like, can you imagine being just walking around and you run into that? He goes, look at those things. Okay, this thing he saw was skinny. Now, I've heard this description before, but it's a little different. He said that the snout was real thin, and his teeth were like the top lip was open. It was showing the teeth the whole time. And he couldn't tell if it was just the mouth was that way or if it was burying its teeth. And he said that it had this weird, like where the arms were. He said it almost had like when it lifted up its arms, there was almost like a webbing there. Not webbing the way he described it, was like something that's aquatic. Okay?
Oh.
Now, he said that it looked like almost like bat-like in the face, but not with an upturned nose. It had a really thin canine-type snout, but the ears were kind of off on the sides, and he could see the ears kind of twitching, moving. And he said, I looked right at it, dude. And he goes, I was staring at it, and it had a really skinny snout. And he said that it was hairy, it was gray. And he said that it had long, thin arms with really bony-looking hands. And he said that it had weird-looking feet. It had the quintessential dog-like legs. And he said that it was so gross looking, dude. I mean, he said that the face had what looked like on the side of the face, it was like blood or something. It was like, he said that you could see it, and like he shined a light at it, and it kind of put its hand up like that. And he said that it was an arm. He said it was very humanoidal looking. He said it was very werewolf looking, but not. Now, when I asked him what that meant, I started giving descriptions. I said, the howling, have you seen Van Helsing? And he was like, I've seen some of these movies, like trailers for him, whatever. He goes, I don't really watch movies like that. But he told me that, yeah, this thing that's what it looked like. It was very, but the way somebody said flying squirrel. No, this thing was not a flying squirrel, let me tell you. And so he said that it was horrific. I mean, and he said that it started messing with his trailer, and he said he was like so out of it, so tired. He'd been driving since Amarillo. That's a long drive. So he said that, dude, he started up his truck to try to leave, and he said that, when he went to leave, this thing had popped up from underneath the truck, come up to the other side, and was right there by him.
Oh, God.
And that's when he shined his light at it, and he had his pistol drawn, and when he pointed his pistol at it, it ducked down and then ran off in the opposite direction and then took off into the woods, and he drove out of there.
He had a healthy respect for guns, didn't he?
This thing knew what a gun was. Now, when we start talking about these things, you're going, an animal, I mean, most animals are going to look. They're not going to know that you're pointing a gun that's going to fire a projectile that's going to hurt them. They have no clue.
No.
Okay. I mean, this thing was like, oh, it's a gun, and it bailed. So what does that tell you?
He knew what it was.
Yeah, actually, absolutely, yeah. And so I told Stan, I said, dude, what do you think it was? He goes, it was a dang werewolf. He didn't say it. He didn't say. He said the bad words, and he goes, it was a F&D werewolf. And I said, is that your final answer? He goes, hell yeah, it's my final answer. And it was a werewolf. He goes, what else could it possibly have been? I said, sir, I'm not challenging you at all. I said, I've actually seen one when I was 15. I started talking. I told him my story. And he goes, well, it was the dangest thing I ever saw. Talk just like that. And he goes, I was heading down to the King Ranch. I'm coming from Amarillo. I was in that area I was heading to, where he used to live at that time, down in that area. And he said that he goes, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I asked him if he'd ever seen anything before or since. He goes, nope. 70, I think he said he was 72. So, he was a younger guy back then, but it was a horrific experience, and he goes, dude, everything he said, everything I've ever every time I think about Austin or anything, he goes, it's always, I think of that. He goes, I'll never forget it. Now, he did tell me he had a friend one time that saw what he thought was a Sasquatch outside of Brenham, Texas. Now, Dana, you're a Texan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you know where Brenham is, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's where Brenda Armstrong, who's been on the show as a witness, she's had multiple Dogman encounters on her property. That's where she's from. And when the guy started describing to me what his friend had seen, he gave me the information to talk to his friend, Mike. I'll call him Mike. That's not his real name, but I'm going to talk to Mike next week, and we'll see what he has to say. Because he said that he thought his friend told him he thought he saw a Bigfoot. But when he started describing it to him, he goes, man, that sounds like a much larger, more muscular version of what I saw. So, anyway. Joanne Osser says, I know of 2 deaths in my state, Tennessee, that were not dog attacks. I can wait until these sons of the beast have an encounter with these unholy, unclean abomination to our Father, our God Almighty. Let me call Barton real quick, and let me see if I can get him on here. I don't know why. I'm going to see if Barton knows me, because he's saying that he can't get on.
Oh, my God.
So let me see if I can pull him up real quick here.
Josh, do you need to hang up with me? Maybe it'll work and you can get a hold of him?
Nope. Just trying to see if I can get, and then I'm going to bring on our other person. I'm just, I'm sorry it's so late, folks, but they just did not want to let me on today.
Now, I expected something to happen. I told you, remember?
Yeah, and it definitely did. What's going on?
Is it letting you call him on 3-way?
I'm about to do it right now.
I don't think that'll put him on a group call.
Oh, you don't think it'll work? I can hear it in my headphones.
But yeah, but I don't think him and Dana are going to be able to talk to each other. I think you have to go to the
Here, look, so he's not answering. I just talked to him. What the heck is going on? And we lost all of our 200-something people that were on there now. There's 400 people in there. Okay, so we did lose Dana.
Okay.
So we got to set it up to where we can get them all on there.
Okay, so let's just call Barton first.
Okay, if we can get him on. All right, well, let me try something else.
I'm gonna call Dana.
Yeah. Why is it not letting us connect?
Hello.
Hey, Barton, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I got you going on the phone, but I couldn't get you through on Facebook Messenger. Dana, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
He's not gonna be able to hear Dana.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to hear Dana because Dana's on the. Let me try calling you through Facebook Messenger, Barton. I want to get you on the stream real quick.
All right, so my phone's been all messed up, Josh, so badly that I had to get a new phone. I just downloaded all the stuff in it today, and it's still... YouTube's got me all messed up. I can't comment on anybody's channel or anything, so
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. You gotta love this 5G. It's much better than the 4G, right?
yeah. That's why it's all good, you know. So apparently, what we were talking about was a hot button thing, and when Dana was about to make some sense, then it just whatever. So, gosh, I don't know what to do here. I'm gonna try and get through to you with Facebook Messenger so we can do a 3-way conversation, and then I'm gonna bring another person on. But I wanted to get your take on this because, you know, we had talked about this. So let me call you back. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye. So Barton's having a hard time, and he can't even see the thing. And then Bettina was trying to see, and she couldn't see it. And then finally, it let her comment. So that was nice of them. But we only got 240 people here now. We had 500 people. Now we got 200 and something. Yeah, Namiria says, I hear both of them. Yeah, we can hear both of them. The problem is they can't hear each other. So we're going to have to... How do we do this with the... trying to cross them over. We got to get Justin on here.
You can add Justin to the call. If you just click right there. No.
Okay.
No, that's not how.
Yeah, you got to add people.
Just type his name
Yeah, right there. It's right there.
in. Okay. And then hit done.
And then we hit done, yeah. And then we put him on there.
Is it calling him right now?
No.
What is it?
Yeah, Justin has not joined, so you have to actually put it on there, and then you have to call him. See, that's the problem. That's the problem. I'm sorry, folks. We're trying to work this out. Now we're contacting him now, but it's not ringing. God, they are making this so hard to do. It's never had this kind of. I mean, this is crazy, dude. I mean, this is. We've done so many of these calls. It's ridiculous. And somebody was bashing me the other day, talking about, oh, they have all kinds of technical issues, whatever. Yeah, well, you know what? You have technical issues when people don't like what you're saying. How about that?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what they say, the truth is more dangerous than a lie.
Mm-hmm. It's not doing anything. This is unbelievable. This should be an easy thing, and we can't get this thing to work. We're not. I'm getting all these messages from people that say that they can't hear us and that they're not able to get on and watch us, and I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we knew this was going to happen, though. I told everybody. I said, watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
See, I
frustrating.
didn't say that, but I felt it, and I told you I wouldn't be surprised.
And I'm sorry that this is happening, folks, and I apologize to you, Dana, and wish we could do something.
But we can do it again. They can't stop us.
Well, that's
I
the
think
problem.
Justin's just not there to answer.
It's not even ringing, though, dude. And I did talk to him just like a few minutes ago.
It says it was last on 28 minutes ago.
Okay, well, let's call him on the phone. He probably thinks that we're not doing anything. Hey man, I'm trying to contact you through Facebook, and it's not ringing. It's not calling you. I don't know what's going on. We're trying.
I'm not getting anything on my side from you guys.
Golly, he's not getting. Let me take you off. You're on the show. Let me put you on speaker. So you're not getting anything from us.
No.
I'm listening. I'm in the live chat. I'm watching it. But this is the first that you've connected through.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
This is weird.
Let me try.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This is a weird topic, dude. I'm telling you, man. We couldn't even get started. It wouldn't let us. And then our provider was like, "Well, we don't know what's going on. It should be working, and it's not." And
Yeah.
this is weird, dude. So I mean, I had, Bettina told me that this was going to
Let
happen.
me try hanging up with Dana and then
just proving a point, really.
restarting the call.
So okay, so we're going to end the call with you, Dana, and then we're going to try and get y'all back on together, okay? And then we'll try calling you back, Justin. Y'all be ready.
Okay, no problem. I'll be here.
Okay. All right.
Folks, I'm not saying that this is proof or
I
anything.
need the headphones.
Well, hold on. I need to take them off for me because my ears are hot. I'm not saying that this is proof of interference, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that, we had 450 people on here and now we got 250. So they were able to squash our audience pretty handily. Diablo said that his tablet went all wacky. That's great. Yeah, D. Just about everybody was blowing my phone up, telling me that they couldn't hear me, they couldn't see me, their internet went out. Why are people's internet going out? It's freaking frustrating. Wish I had Elon Musk money. I could just buy this platform and say, you know what? This is the way it is.
I'm going to call Justin.
Let's get him on here. He said whenever we tried calling, it wasn't ringing on his end. Hello?
Hey, you there?
Yeah, Justin, there you are. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got you on. We're going to try and add the other people.
Okay.
There, I guess we put it right here. And we just hit done. It's not patching it through. Yeah, see, it's doing the same thing it was earlier. Folks, this is just crazy, dude. I can't believe this. We've done this a bunch, too. Now, this isn't like something that we should, be having this many problems with.
Yeah.
It says it's contacting. But it said that about Justin, too, and it wasn't.
So here's something weird. When I'm talking with you guys, the YouTube screen is freezing up on me.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps saying, too. That
That's never happened before.
I had a couple people reaching out to me saying that they were kicked out of the chat, too.
Yeah, the chat still looks like it's still going live for me. I can still see the updates going through.
It's not
But the screen's froze with you on it.
Wow. So it's not letting us patch through to you two together. Can we take the headphones off and just try to have one of them on the phone and one of them on
Yeah, just unplug the headphone.
the... Yeah, we could do that. I mean, there's a will, there's a way. I mean, we got to do this.
Just from the bottom of the microphone.
Which one is it? Is it this one?
Yeah.
There's all these cords here. I can't see what's what. We got to get this done somehow. All right, so Justin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, wait. No, don't.
Yeah, move that.
All right.
The audio to speakers. Yeah, there we go.
You should
And I had turned it down a little bit. Can you hear me, Justin?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to hang up with you and then try calling Dana back. Or no, let me know what? I'll just call Dana on here because I don't think I have her number.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to bootleg it.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to go bypass it all. We'll get it done.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so send me your number now. John Villafranco, thank you for that donation. John, you're always so generous. You and Holly really take care of us. I hope you guys can make it to the conference, man. Barton says his messenger is messed up now. He can't. Wow. Okay. I'm going to call Dana now. And,
Hello.
hey, Dana. Okay, so I have you on the phone, and I got Justin through the Facebook Messenger. All right, so I'm gonna try and patch Barton through on three-way so he can be a part of this and give his opinion on this because we were talking about this. All right, but let me text him real quick. But you guys have kind of two different opinions on this case in Tennessee. Justin, Dana never got to finish her point, but I mean, you kind of got the gist of it. And you guys, now, folks, what I'm going to tell you right now, Justin and Dana are not friends.
No, we're not.
Okay, y'all, but you're going to be cordial with each other, right? Nobody's
Yes,
okay, right?
will.
Right, Justin? Absolutely. Okay, but y'all have done some sparring back and forth in my group. Okay, with two totally differing opinions on this. Now, I have talked to both of you independently of one another, and I talked to you, Justin, and you did say that you believe that these things do happen. But you're saying that in particular, the case in Cock County is not what Dana thinks it is.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So, Dana, finish what you were saying about the. But you were going into something when the live got shut off.
When they were talking in the report about finding the unusually large hind paw prints and then slash marks indicating that this thing had hands, pointing to an upright bipedal canine predator. That kind of it usually you're going to see 4 paws if it's a dog.
Yeah, and so you said that you were talking about the paw prints. Now you think that shows some sort of proof? I mean, what do you think? What do you think that is?
They made notation, and they made very specific that only the hind paw prints were found, and then slash marks indicating hands with long claws.
Mm-hmm. And Justin, what do you think of that?
Well, I haven't found that report, that documentation anywhere that supports that specific claim. As far as I've seen the reports where it talks about bloody footprints being found, bloody dog prints, but nothing to specify only hind legs, and nothing in the system to specify hands were being used, claws were being used as opposed to teeth. So I've been trying to find that documentation. I've heard that a few different places, but I just can't find anything to indicate that or specify that.
Yeah, they're having a hard time hearing you, Justin. Here's the best way to do this. I'm just going to put you all together on the three-way and just hold the phone up. So I'm going to call you.
I can hear Dana. I can hear Dana fine. So
I can barely hear you, and Dana can't hear you either. So we're gonna call you on three-way on the phone.
Okay.
Okay. It's the best way we can't get Facebook to cooperate because Facebook is the way they are. So hold on 1 second.
Yep.
Okay. So let's see here. So I'm going to call you right back, Justin.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so there's Justin. So now we're gonna hold on 1 second, Dana. We're gonna get him on, and we're gonna call him.
You have Dana on the phone or on Messenger?
He's on the phone.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm going to merge you guys. Okay. All right. So Dana, you and Justin are now together on the call, and I hope the audience at home can hear. I'm sorry we got to do this, folks, but sometimes, necessity, calls for us to do, whatever. So we persevere. So go ahead, Justin. You don't believe that the attacks in Cott County were a Dogman, which
Correct.
that's probably the prevailing theme. So give me your take on that. Go ahead.
Sure. So when these reports started first coming out, I actually went down to where everything was happening after Amber Miller's case, because I don't live very far away. I went down there at night one night with my girlfriend, and we did a Facebook Live video up and down the road to check it out and see what was going on. And then I started pulling up, the reports that were getting put out there through the media. And to me, it seemed a pretty clear-cut case, what they were saying, that the locals were saying, the authorities were saying that it was this guy and his 3 dogs that were responsible for the maulings.
Mm-hmm.
But then it started coming up again. Various YouTube channels, various people on Facebook, different groups I'm in talking about this case. And so I started challenging this theory that this case was Dogman. Now, I want to specify, like Josh said earlier, I do believe that dogmen are out there and that they do attack people and can kill people, absolutely without a doubt. And these other attacks I haven't looked into, these other ones around the country, there's a lot going on, absolutely, 1,000%. But these particular 2 attacks, I believe, are attributed to this one guy and his dogs, and I believe the evidence supports that.
Okay.
We were just talking about the footprints and the claw marks that indicate hands, and the reports that I have read do indicate bloody paw prints being found around bodies, and that they were there, but nothing in them at all specifies that they were just hind prints. And then in looking at autopsy reports and everything else that I'm looking at, there's nothing in here specifying that any of the lacerations were from hand-like claws. That I just can't find that documentation. I've heard those claims before. I've heard them that they've originated from a couple of different sources, but I cannot find any documentation on that other than just so-and-so said this. And I'm just not finding it.
Okay, and Dana, you were saying earlier, like your opinion on this, and what do you think is the reason why? Because like you and Justin had a huge blow up in my group, and I've been friends with both of you for a long time. But what do you think Justin would have to gain by not agreeing with you about the attacks of Cott County? I mean, do you think, because Justin has told me that he does believe that it does happen. So what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think he has anything to gain by agreeing with me or disagreeing with me. I just think he's wrong because people lie to cover up all the time. It's happening all over the United States where these attacks are happening. It's nothing new. It's the same story every time. And it can't be the same story every time.
And so what about the other attacks, like the one that happened in Dallas and the one in Kiefer, Oklahoma? What are your thoughts on those? Let's start with Justin, since you have had less airtime. What do you think, Justin?
Again, I haven't looked into any of those specific ones. I couldn't even wager opinion on them. But what I see happening in some attacks, I'm not going to say these ones specifically, but ones I've heard, is usually there's a vague response. Right, it's a pack of wild dogs. Nobody knows. Nobody saw anything. Those are the ones that I'm more suspicious of as possible dogman attacks. I do believe that when that does happen, there are cover-ups going on. But the ones that come off very vague sounding and just kind of trying to brush it under the cover, those are the ones I think we need to focus on and put our attention on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so Dana, you're of the opinion that all these attacks are being perpetrated by dogman type creatures, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, nobody saw Amber and Tony attack, So nobody can say for sure, oh, it was dogs that did it. They cannot. Nobody can, not even Justin. I mean, I can go visit a location where somebody was killed, but if I didn't see the bodies, I don't know what happened. And he's not professional. Professionals can't even figure this out.
Well, see, and that's where I disagree. I believe the professionals have figured it out. And that's what
I believe they're lying. They're lying all over the United States, Justin, when these cases are happening.
And I believe in some
Tennessee's
cases,
not the only
absolutely.
one that is actually. Tennessee's not an exception because this hadn't been too long. Another attack happened, and they're blaming the service dog for it. Those dogs are trained to give their very lives for their owners.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the service dog thing was kind of ridiculous. Like, I read into that one, and I was like, that. So, I mean, forgive me, I'm not laughing at the person dying. That is not what I scoffed at. But the thought that a service dog would just all of a sudden decide, you know what, I don't like this person, and they turn and just attack the person, destroying them. I don't get that. And, unless the person was an abusive, now it is possible. Maybe the person was abusive to the dog, or maybe they hit the dog, or maybe they were mean to the dog, or they did it one too many times, and the dog says, I'm tired of this person, messing with me. So they're like, bam, bam, they did something to it, to their person.
Did you receive the picture of the little dog that I sent you?
Yeah, and it was pretty pathetic. I thought, this dog doesn't look like, but looks can be deceiving though, Dana, too. I'm not saying that dog is behind the scenes a bloody killer, and it just looks like Scruffy, your pal.
But if you think of 12 pounds ripping a 7-year-old's arm off, that doesn't really seem to fit when the dog didn't have much blood on it at all. And when the arteries are ripped apart, like I do, if they're not dead, it's going to spurt further. It's going to be all over the attackers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and where there's smoke, there's fire. Now, Mondo Sensei says the Dallas case, 2016, is close to a river branch from White Rock Creek, which goes up to White Rock Lake, where 3 encounters occurred 2017 and 2019. Now, for those of you who are joining us late, like Angela, okay, got here late because you're probably busy sculpting your figures and doing your job or whatever it is. I guess that's more important than listening to us ramble. Okay, fine. Okay, Angela, what we're talking about are the dog/Dogman attacks, possibly, and we've had a heck of a time. We had 450 people in the chat, and it got locked up and messed up, so we had to restart it and jump back on, and so now here we are. Dana was trying to make some points, and it shut her off and shut her down and whatever. Now, before anybody starts attacking Justin and thinking that Justin is just this, he's partial to just, the government, he's on the side of the people that say that they know what they're doing. Me and Justin have talked at length, and me and Justin are friends. Justin has been a supporter of the show. He's also been on the show. I've also known both of these people for a few years now, and they've always been very gracious and honest and friendly and open with me. I've never had any real problems with either one of them. So imagine my shock when a war started on Paranormal Roundtable Group. Now, Paranormal Roundtable Group is connected to the show, and we put all the news of the group in there, and they have tons of stories. People type out their stories, they put it on there. Join the Paranormal Roundtable Group. You won't be disappointed. We got like 7,500 or 600 people in there, and people talk about stuff all the time. They put all kinds of stuff on there. Links to other shows and other great podcasts that you can, whatever, and you'll learn all kinds of stuff. Okay, now, that being said, y'all two went at each other, and I was like, y'all are two of my friends, and I was like, oh my gosh. And Nellie was like, oh my gosh, these people are fighting. Why are they fighting? And we couldn't figure out why. And y'all are both very passionate about what you believe and what you do, and Justin is a very good researcher, very good. Justin has given me a lot of stories and information, and he has gone the extra mile. I would dare say he's one of my contributors to the show. Like, he does do a lot of help. Like, he researches and whatever. Dana, you do too, okay? And you're both very active in the PRT community. Now, that being said, it hurt me that you were both fighting the way you were. So naturally, I thought we should exploit this and make y'all two get on here and start fighting on the air. I'm joking. No, folks. No. What we're doing is we're trying to get two differing opinions on two different sides of the table here about the Dogman attacks. Okay. Justin is not, and I repeat, because I talked to you at length the other night, Justin. We had an hour and a half long conversation, and I said, Justin, and now I came at, I'm going to be honest, I came at Justin. I said, Justin, you know how I feel about this. I mean, I really believe I lean on the side of these things being something more than what we're being told. Now, prove me wrong. So Justin went to work telling me, look, this is why I believe that the Cocke County situation, is the way it is. Now, I take your word on that, what you said, but here we go. Here goes. Martin Groves says all animals from the Cocke County attacks were taken into custody. Sheriff's Department tested all the dogs. The dogs had 0 human DNA consumed. What do you think of that?
That is incorrect, actually. The dogs that were taken into custody were not his dogs. He was found at his ex-wife's house. The DNA that was taken was from other dogs not associated with the attack.
Didn't they destroy his dogs?
No, they have. Well, so here's the theory on that is he actually destroyed his dogs.
Yeah.
The police department has come out and said, no, they have not. They did take one into custody. It was unclear if that was one of the dogs involved in the attack. But it was specifically stated that the DNA was taken from one of his ex-wife's dog, from a dog that was buried in the ground for an undetermined amount of time. They took DNA from that dog, and then one of the dogs on site became aggressive, and that's the one they impounded and took DNA from that dog. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the ones that the DNA was specifically taken from. All right? The only dog that may have been Tony's was the one that was impounded, but that was unclear according to what was going on. All right? Now, the fact about the DNA thing going on, here's the problem, is how long is human DNA going to stay within that system?
Mm-hmm.
Is the big question, right? So this was about, I could be wrong by a few days, it was approximately 2 weeks after the last attack, by the time they were able to execute the warrant and find Tony and get the DNA off those dogs. It was somewhere after a week to the 2 week range. Okay? And they used the SWAT team to go in and execute this warrant. So, there's definitely some stuff going on. There's some stuff that I don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. And I agree with that 100%. Okay? But just everything that's going on in the case, the talk to the neighbors through Facebook. There's a whole bunch of people in the community that they know what's going on. They know what's happening. And what they're looking at, the dogs have not been seen since the attacks at all.
No.
And go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Justin, but I wanted to say something in Justin's defense. And this is no slight at you at all, Dana, because I love you both to death. Okay, I feel like I have two of my kids fighting or whatever, and I did raise, my 3 nephews. They're pretty much, I raised them, and one of them I formally adopted. So I'm going to tell you right now, when my kids fought, it hurt me. They would be like, hey, this is that, whatever. But it didn't hurt me as bad as I hurt them. I'd beat the crap out of them, dude. I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, it hurt me. Y'all were at each other. But Justin, you were very forthcoming in what you said. You gave some compliments to Dana, and he really did, Dana. And I'm trying to tell you right now from the bottom of my heart, Justin said, he's like, I know she's a well-meaning person, and she's very passionate about it. He's like, but I'm coming from the angle that if we as a community, this is what Justin explained to me. I'm going to repeat it, Justin. He said, if we as a community, if I remember exactly what you said if we go around saying that every time there's an attack of something is a Dogman, then it makes us look bad and we lose credibility, because then we look like a bunch of people that are like crying wolf. Okay? No pun intended. But it's true, and I thought about it and I said, Justin, you know what? You're right. That makes perfect sense. If we as a community constantly, every time something happens, we're like, oh, that's a Dogman, that's a Bigfoot, that's a UFO, whatever, then we look like a bunch of, more weird than we already look. Okay, we're already a fringe group of people.
What he just said about 2 weeks. Well, now that would make more sense why they couldn't find any DNA. That's not what I found in any article.
Right, okay.
It's like within like a day or so, and taking the fecal matter to is the way they made it sound. 2 weeks. Then there was nothing in them then.
No, absolutely not. There was nothing. See, what I have, here's what I did, guys. I reached out to the Regional Forensic Center in Knox County because autopsy reports are public record in Tennessee. So I reached out to them, and they sent me the copies, the official release copies of the autopsies of both Tony and Amber. Okay? And then I went to these different media sources that were finding, the local media sources, and I reached out to the reporters, the ones putting it out. And I sent out some emails. I said, hey, listen, this is what I'm doing. This is what's going on. And I'm just looking for more information because I know reporters only release certain tidbits and certain things. And that's what you see in quotations is what they specifically have been told. And everything else is the reporter's writing of what they've been told, right? And so I reached out to them. And the gentleman that responded back to me was the lead investigative reporter out of Knoxville. And he sent me the specific press release from the sheriff's department. So that's all the information that the media has been told from the sheriff's department, and I have a copy of that right here.
They're not releasing anymore, are they?
They're not. It says specifically there'll be no more information released in this case until a criminal indictment is acquired and served. That's the last line of the releases. Very specifically. And so what did I do? I called the Cobb County Sheriff's Department. And I tried to engage them. I tried to talk to them, and they said, unfortunately, this is an ongoing investigation, and we can't provide any more information than we've already released formally to the media.
Well, see, right there, that's what gets me, too. If it's ongoing, it's pending, it's active, how can they finish an autopsy as though it's been solved?
Yeah, that is true.
That's two different things, though. That's two different things.
No, it's concerning the act.
An autopsy is a very small, specific part of the total ongoing investigation. So all that happens with the autopsy is your medical examiner goes in, examines the body, weighs this, weighs that, measures this.
I think they need a second and third opinion is what they need. Something ain't right.
That's just what they do, though. I mean, they release it, they put it out there, and then it goes to public record, and it goes to the police department. I don't see anything suspicious about that whatsoever.
I do.
And the reason that it's an ongoing case is if the assumption is correct, and again, it's an assumption that this guy destroyed his dogs because he knew if they could prove the dogs killed these people, he's automatically culpable for manslaughter. Absolutely, he is. Mm-hmm. So he killed the dogs, which means at this point there is no way for the police to close the investigation.
Yeah, and Dana
is going to stay open. It's what's going to happen, unfortunately.
Let me say this, Dana and Justin. Is it possible, though, Dana, that maybe this case isn't really a Dogman, but some of the others may be, like the one in Dallas, does seem a bit odd. I mean,
I didn't know about the 2-week period. You're not going to find any human DNA in the intestines because that dog's eaten a lot and done something else a lot within 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least on the Cobb County, we can agree to disagree. If I had to make a judgment, I would say that what Justin is...
It's bringing me in closer to what Justin's saying, yeah. And I still don't believe it was dogs.
Yeah, me too. And I still don't know that it was dogs, but it was something. Now, I don't want to get out here and sound like a complete kook, but I'm already doing a show with, you can see my shirt. It's got Bigfoot, a zombie, a Dogman, and a UFO on it. So I'm already out there, okay? There's no coming back for me. I'm done, okay? But I'm going to say this, okay? If you listen to J.C. Johnson, I mean, the late J.C. Johnson. Now, I never spoken to J.C., but I did with Brenton, and Brenton was, friends with him, whatever. And one of the things we talked about before Brenton passed, I mean, he was a believer that these people can shape shift. They believed it. Okay. Absolutely. And I have gotten reports, and when I first was in this Dogman community, people, especially one large podcaster whose name rhymes with Dick, he didn't like me saying anything shapeshifter-y. I was not allowed to talk about that. I had to leave those things out, and he would even go so far as to edit it out. I'm pretty sure he didn't want anything in that because he tried to create this narratives because it looked silly or crazy, whatever. And I'm like, by his own admission, people that were dabbling with the occult and Ouija boards and things like that were telling him a lot of these stories. Now, those are gateways, those are doorways, and then these things appear to these people. Now, why do you think that is? There is a supernatural element to these things, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to point out right now, say it. There is even an evil element to these things.
Absolutely.
And I don't care if you didn't get attacked. I didn't get attacked, but this thing was judging the fence about how to get to me. I don't care what anybody says. That's what was happening. Okay, and I absolutely feel 1,000% that it would have killed me if it had the chance, and it saw my friend's dad, and it thought
the ones being attacked in the ditch. I mean, yours was in the ditch.
Yeah, and now and this thing was probably saying, okay, now too many people have seen me. Let me get out of here, whatever. So it moved on when I went past it. Let me tell you something. There are people who swear up and down these things run at their cars, jump on the cars, try to attack them, try to grab them. One story that I got, and I haven't finished getting all the details from it, but her and her boyfriend at the time were up in Idaho and Bryan Head, which I've actually camped and done some trail hiking there back in the 90s. They actually said that something stalked them and chased them and through the woods for like an entire day. Okay, now this was a werewolf-looking creature. She said, there's no other way to describe it. It's a werewolf-looking creature. She's like, she doesn't watch YouTube and all this other stuff, and she's like, you're the only person that I know that deals with these kind of things. I went to a Bigfoot researcher. He laughed at me and said, why don't you take it to one of these other people? And she mentioned me and the other person that I used to work with. So she did. She came to me and she said that she thinks it was a person that had changed into this thing. Now, I like I said, I still have a lot more of talking to do with these people, and I need to interview her boyfriend, well, now her husband, before I go any further with it. But she said that there was a guy that was kind of hassling them the night before at their site where they were at when they were walking through the woods. He came out of the woods wearing nothing but a pair of shorts and no clothes other than that. She claims that he started asking her weird questions, about where to find this or that, and she's like, I have no idea. He said somebody stole something out of his camping thing, whatever, where he was at. There wasn't even supposed to be any camping, so he was just out there illegally. And then he told her, he's like, well, you better watch your back if you're the ones that did it, because, I'm not happy. And her boyfriend at the time was like, well, too bad for you, dude. He's kind of a big, strong guy, and he kind of got in between him and her, and he kept staring at her. And when he turned around, she said that he growled, and it sounded like a dog. And she was like, what the heck is going on here? So the next day when they were out hiking, they went way deep into the woods, and I know where this area is at. I've been there more than one occasion. It's very beautiful. And so when they were walking back to their cabin where they had rented a cabin, they were trying to get back. This creature comes and confronts them on the trail. And then it began to chase them. And now it gets, I'll get into the story one day once I get more information. But she said that they found a pair of shorts. It was cut off shorts that this guy was wearing the night before. That's all he was wearing. He was barefooted, long-haired guy. She said he was very beady-eyed looking. She said he was very weird looking. He had like a lot of facial hair, a lot of body hair, but he just looked like a weird guy. And he was obviously not making a whole lot of sense. And they thought he was high. Maybe he was on something, And she said that they absolutely, when they were running, they found a pair of shorts that looked like his. And she thinks, I said, well, first reaction to me was, do you think that guy from the night before was attacked by this creature that was chasing you? She says, no, I think he was the creature.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that, and if they would not have been, like when they got onto the main road, one of the gravel roads to get out of there or whatever, there were some vehicles going by, some ATVs or whatever. She said that they were like, hey, can you give us a ride back to where we were, whatever. And they got a ride with 2 ATVs and they got the heck out of there. One of them says he looked back and saw a weird guy with no clothes on standing at the edge of the woods watching them. Now, the couple themselves, they did not look back and see that. And the guy, though, he says he turned and he looked back and he goes, what the hell? And the woman was on the back of his ATV and she said, what's going on? He goes, there's some weird guy standing back there. So when they got back to their cabin, they all tried to process what had happened. The 2 people on the 4-wheelers had said that they saw, the one guy said he saw nothing. He was on the far side of the road. The other guy said he saw a naked guy. And he said, is that who was chasing you? And she says, no, it was this wolf-looking creature. Now, the one guy had gone to that place to camp and to hike and to do all kinds of stuff. And he'd been going there for 2 decades. He said that him and his sons had gone out there a lot. The other guy on the ATV was one of his sons. And the dad, the guy that was on the ATV, said he had heard stories of there being a wolf-like or, whatever creature out there. And that supposedly there were also stories of a crazy guy that lived out there. Well, you put two and two together. I'm not saying that this is, this guy's a werewolf, okay? But it is pretty odd. It is convenient to me when you start looking at this situation and you're going like, okay, common sense tells you. I mean, just looking at it, Occam's razor, you're like the simplest answer. And I'm sorry, but this is not simple. But if you look at the simplest answer, then he's probably the thing that was chasing him. Were they hallucinating and seeing a giant werewolf-looking creature or thinking he was a werewolf-looking creature? It could be, could possibly, but probably not. So if you were just going straight to the meat and potatoes and looking at it from a pragmatic standpoint, I know people are going to go, oh, well, it doesn't sound very pragmatic to believe in werewolves, but what else was it? What could it have been? Why are there stories of that in the same place where this, this is a guy that goes up there all the time. Now I want to talk to him. They did exchange phone numbers and she's going to try to reach out to him, and hopefully by sometime in May, I will have some more that I can look at and say, hey, we can maybe bring her on. She's not really open to talking, but maybe her boyfriend will come on the show and talk. But I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? You two. I'll start with you, Justin. What do you think of what I just said?
I firmly believe that's possible. I mean, Brent was a good friend of mine. I've talked to him a lot before he passed, and we were in agreement, man. There's definitely something going on. There's definitely a demonic, satanic element to a lot of these stories. I personally believe there's multiple entities involved in the Dogman phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there could definitely be a flesh and blood creature. Where it came from, how it came about, I don't know. But I also believe there's definitely a shape-shifting aspect to it. I believe that either through rituals or through other means, people can gain the power to shapeshift, or at least, as I put it, appear to shapeshift to others, because we don't know if it's a true physical shapeshift or if it's an illusion appearance that other people can see. We don't know, right? Because we just don't understand it.
We don't understand it.
Right, we don't understand the mechanism of it. So I can't say their physical body changes, or is it just their appearance changes, right? Because even if we study the scriptures, there's talking about the appearance of somebody changed. They look different. Even when angelic beings would come and visit as humans, they would appear as humans, but at some point there would be a shift, and then they could be seen for what they were. So we don't know if it's just a visual aspect of it or if there's an actual physical changing, right? But I do believe there's definitely multiple aspects to this phenomenon. And so, having somebody in the woods, we always assume it's a human shape-shifting into a creature, right?
Yeah.
But what if it's the opposite?
Yeah, I've thought about that too.
Right? What if it's this creature that's able to portray itself as some kind of man?
Yeah. Dana, before I get into what you think, let me here's another little side story here. Folks, I covered this once before, and now I admitted to you too that these people told me that they were inebriated, okay? But it doesn't make the story to me any less credible just because there were so many accounts in that little corridor there. Now, I'm going to shift gears just slightly. This involved a cat-looking bipedal black panther. Now, when I was talking to Barton the other day about this, and I was talking to Ken, and we were talking, and I said, why is it that the bipedal felines always are black? They're always panther-like. They're never any variation that I've heard. There's never any variation. It's always bipedal. But me, Steve Stockton, got into the same conversation. They don't have anything other than that. That's all you get is this black panther-type creature. You never, ever hear of anything else. Now, Dogman and Bigfoot, you get all these variations in hair color and eye color. The black bipedal panther is what you always get. But these people were driving down the road, not far out of my hometown. Now, there's an area where people claim that there's these black panthers, and they stand up on their hind legs. This thing was moving its arm. It was an arm, waving it up and down like it was trying to wave them down. And it began to run alongside their car like it was trying to ask for help. And they look over, and now, granted, they admitted that they were intoxicated, but they looked over, And what they saw was a black panther on its hind legs running alongside their vehicle. Both of them saw it and were very adamant that it was waving them down. What if, now I thought about this case, okay? What if this thing was, its natural form was a black panther that could, and it was trying to project itself as a man, and it didn't work on these people because they were inebriated. I know that sounds crazy, okay? But follow me, folks. What do you think? Is it possible? Is it possible?
I think anything's possible. And I bet they sobered up real quick.
Yeah. Actually, one of them did. She was like, I'm done. And she pretty much stopped everything after that. And she got some help, and thank God. But and I asked her too, though. And I was like, was it because of that? And she was like, maybe, because right after that, she stopped, whatever. She didn't give me a full on, yeah, that's why, it was like, there was no Bible sermon or anything like that. It was just, maybe that's part of it. Here, Jennifer Metzger, she says, I'll be the bad guy and studied this since my encounter in 94. I do not believe a human rips and stretches into a werewolf. I don't think that's how it happens. And she says, I believe flesh and spiritual, where they project the form to werewolf spiritual. Yes, that is more along the lines. Now, the Native Americans will tell you, though, and I've talked to half a dozen different Native Americans who claim to have seen skinwalkers. I had one on my show. They say that it does happen where they just become like, they don't start to melt and go, all that, but there's this very painful looking thing that happens. Now I've heard others say that, there is a way for them to just fool people and making them projecting themselves. Now, I think that what the late J.C. Johnson, he said that, some of these people will learn these techniques and they'll shapeshift, but then they'll get stuck. He said that. He said they get stuck. He goes, and then they go around killing and hunting and doing whatever, and, they're trapped that way. And it's almost 100%, that they're dabbling in some sort of magic or evil. Now, I've said this before. Black magic, white magic, it's really just science that we haven't caught up to. Black magic is black science that we have not caught up to, and I'll tell you that right now. I totally believe that 100%. But go ahead, Dana. Give me your take on what you think that about the story I told, and what you think this is. Tell me your take.
Well, the Bible tells you that the enemy comes and makes everything look beautiful. It could appear as a human when it's not. That's what I'm saying. I think it's very spiritual, and I think it's evil. It would scare me to death. And I believe it was probably a demon that was looking like a man.
Yeah.
And then transformed back to its true self.
So you're like, you and Justin have more in common than you could possibly know, because having talked to both of you.
I'm beginning to see that. I'm beginning to see it.
Yeah, and what's really odd is that you guys were at each other's throats. You were like, oh, I want to kill this person, and
it's the inconsistencies of what's being reported from one article to the next. They're not all the same kind of. Like she was trying to climb a tree. You can't climb a tree with your arms ripped out of your shoulder sockets and one leg with it ripped off. You can't. If you can hop around on one leg, maybe.
Yeah, but see that's the inconsistency in the reporters. Yeah, and they're trying to get their thing. They're sensationalizing their stories, and that's why I reached out to them to find out what exactly they were being told, and then what was being embellished. Now, my girlfriend is a journalistic reporter. That's what she does. So I have a somewhat of an inside idea of how this works and how they build their stories there, and how they do it, And again, there's some mysterious things within these cases, some things that don't add up to me. Right. I agree with that 100%. Not denying that.
Yeah,
I didn't want to have to agree with you, but I'm beginning to agree with you a bit more.
Well, listen, here's what I told Josh, too. I said, Josh, if any one of these people is willing to show me information that proves me wrong, I am wide open to accept it, because that's how I am. I'm not diehard one way or the other. I look for the truth. That's what I want to know.
Let me ask you something, Justin.
Yeah.
And I believe you've got the articles and all that, but don't you believe, since they're trying to hide this everywhere and every place it's happening, don't you think you could be lied to by those people too?
Absolutely. Okay. I've never decried that.
We do have more in common then.
They could be lying through their teeth. Yeah. But from what I've seen, when they're covering up and they're lying about it, they're being vague. They're going, again, wild pack of dogs that have been seen in the neighborhood, and it must have been coyotes that came out of the night and grabbed them and dragged them up the hill, right? But in this case, there's specific eyewitnesses. There is specific people. There's specific animals that are being attributed to these attacks. That's why I'm convinced that in this case, with Tony and Amber, it was these dogs. Now, I saw somebody question.
Let me ask you, do you think those dogs took her clothes off?
See, I've only seen the one report, and that was from the eyewitness that said she was naked. Okay? So here's my thoughts on it. I can see a couple of different scenarios. The biggest one I'm seeing is look at what the dogs are. The dogs in question are a Mastiff, a Cane Corso, which is an Italian Mastiff.
The Cane Corso is a very bad dog.
Correct. And then a German Shepherd Pit Bull mix.
Okay,
These are very large, very powerful dogs.
Yes, they are.
Okay? So I have no problem with the idea of during an attack, clothes could be ripped off. For one, we don't know what she may have been wearing. We have no clue. This is Tennessee in July.
Right? She was naked. I don't think she was walking around naked, but she ended up naked.
Right, but again, if she was wearing very lightweight clothing, it would not be hard at all for those clothes to be ripped off a person.
Yeah.
Okay, secondly.
Nobody mentioned where the clothes were.
Very true, absolutely. Secondly, we don't know what she was doing at the time of the attack.
That's true.
Okay? We don't know what was going on. Here's the problem. The gentleman in question that owns these dogs has a very lengthy police record, including aggravated assault, including drug charges. In fact, when they went to issue a warrant to check the DNA at the dogs, they arrested him for possession, and they took his vehicle in town.
Didn't he command the dog to attack one of the deputies?
That was in a previous incident involving aggravated assault against another gentleman at a gas station. The guy pulled out his gun and then threatened to have his dogs attack this other guy, and then the police showed up, and then he threatened the police officer with his dogs as well. Yes, that happened, but that happened, I believe, in 2018 as a separate incident.
Can I ask you something? Have you heard anything about Owensby training dogs for Sheriff Fontes? Have you heard that?
I've heard that he claims to be a dog trainer as well as his son.
And
claims
he
to be
trained
dog
dogs for
trainers.
his son.
I have not heard of anything of him training dogs for the sheriff department or otherwise. I have not heard that.
I'll find that article and I'll get it to you.
Please, absolutely.
And then they were saying Fontes, because of this, is saying he's going to probably retire.
Yeah, I heard that too.
That I don't know. I know it's coming up to election time, and he's not very favored right now with the people of Cott County. There's been some question of him working for another department as well, in off hours from the sheriff's office in Cott County, and working for the White Pine Police Department, kind of moonlighting, and basically double dipping on salary. So there's some question about that as far as his integrity.
Yeah.
So even if he's not retiring,
Newport is known for corruption. You know that, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. Listen, I live here. I used to work in Newport. I used to run the A&W Long John Silver's down there as the general manager. I know all about Newport. I know about the corruption. It wasn't that long ago where the entire half the sheriff's department plus government officials were all busted in a big drug ring.
Yes, they
absolutely. Newport is known for corruption. To this day, it is known as basically one of the biggest meth areas in East Tennessee. It's the biggest joke around. You stay out of Newport because you're going to get messed up if you go there.
Let me ask you, is there a big Native American population in that?
In Newport?
In that area, in that county?
Not any bigger than anywhere else I've ever been aware of. I know further up in the mountains we've got more of the Cherokee people up there. But around town, you're going around Newport, you're doing the business Newport, you don't see a lot of Native American.
Are there cemeteries pretty close to Newport, in that area where the attack happened?
Yes, actually there was a church and a cemetery further along down the road, on that specific road, Jimtown Road. But that was in the more residential area from where the attacks occurred. The attacks occurred in a stretch along the river bottoms. Okay, which I found very suspicious, right? As a researcher, I know that riverways, green areas, are huge attractions. So I went into this looking for evidence of a Dogman attack. And the area that it happened is sparsely populated. The bushes and trees go really, really close to the road. We saw deer on the road when we were out there that night. But then you go down, I don't know, maybe a mile further down the road, then it opens up into a big residential area. And then it's just like a big neighborhood,
I know that they say that many of these dogmen, that they'll stay around cemeteries and where there's water, rivers, and
let me interject in that. I'm going to interject in that. Joe Trueblood said here earlier, he said to look into the Aztecs. He says, I think you may find more answers looking into the Aztecs. And I'll tell you this. Me and Linda Godfrey have postulated on this before, on air, I believe we did, and off air. And we talked about how the Aztecs actually came from the far north, and they came all the way down into Texas, and then all the way down into Mexico, and they kept going, looking for the symbol, which became the Mexican flag, the eagle eating a snake. And legend has it that near the lake, Tenochtitlan, that they found it. Yep. Okay, now of course I don't believe that, but because it's pretty convenient. Hey, this is a beautiful place. Oh, look, there's the eagle. We're supposed to be here. No, I think that it was that wasn't. I think that part's a myth. Now they had a lot of myths, and one of them involves a creature called Xolotl. Now, if anybody doesn't know what Xolotl is, Xolotl was the soul companion. What he did was he escorted the dead. And he was kind of like the guardian of the dead were separated from the living, and he kept them apart. Now, sounds familiar. Cerberus in the Greek mythology, he was the guardian of the mouth of Hades, which is like hell. And you have Anubis, which is the guardian of the dead, and Egyptian. Now, I believe that we all have a common ancestral, whatever you want to call it, religion, whatever, that we were all one at one time, and we all had, and it all kind of fractured and came in and went into different little pieces. Now, one of the things that the Aztecs believed was that the world had been destroyed 4 times before our present age. That's another myth that they believe. Now, they were sacrificing people to the sun so that it would reappear. But the night belonged to Xolotl, okay? He was the guy that would run around and do all kinds of, whatever, because there was so much death around the Aztecs that it wasn't always that way. But by the time the Aztecs were destroyed by the Spaniards, and let's face it, all the other natives in the area were sick of them, so they all banded together to destroy them. By the time they were sacrificing 1,000 people a day. I mean, there was so much blood in the streets that the Spaniards talked about them slipping and falling on blood splotches on the ground because they were killing so many people. Now, Huitzilopochtli, the god of war and death, and then Xolotl was kind of his lesser, whatever his, whatever. You don't think that they were benefiting from that? All this death and all this blood and all this gore that was going on?
Absolutely.
And I think that these demons were gaining a lot of power from that. I mean, they were becoming
innocent blood.
They were becoming engorged with it. And so I believe that this demonic dogman-like entity, which a lot of people believe began in Wisconsin, it started where the first, they still to this day, they find things that look Aztec-like. And they go all the way down into Mexico. They find their spot. They begin to do what a lot of other civilizations have done, and they just kill all their neighbors and start taking over. And they eventually became stronger and took all that area around Lakes Texcoco and of course Tenochtitlan. They took it over, Tenochtitlan, whatever, and they became the power of that region. And to where when the Spaniards came, the Tabascans on the coast said, if you're looking for gold, go to the city of gold, which is Tenochtitlan. And the Tlaxcalans were on their last leg. They were the only ones who had not succumbed to the Aztecs' power in that region. And they literally had a little square. And that's all they had left. And the rest was all, as well, Dream here says, Aztlan. Yeah, Aztlan. Everything was Aztlan. and they were the only ones that resisted them. The Spaniards, by their own admission, said that the Tlaxcalans were the quickest to actually accept Christ and conform, and that they actually had a belief in what Quetzalcoatl, whatever. He was a white-haired man with a long flowing beard who had claimed that he had died in the East. That's what the Tlaxcalans told the Spaniards. And the Spaniards said that they actually believed that they were the ones, they were waiting to be delivered from the Aztecs. And the Aztecs had a belief in Quetzalcoatl too, but they had given up on his return. And they had turned to Huitzilopochtli to save them, which was, in all senses and purposes, he was the devil god. Okay, he was the bad guy, and they were serving him at that point. So by their own admission, they had turned to the bad god in their ceremonies and in their beliefs, and a lot of people said that it reached a peak in Cuauhtémoc's reign. Now, we're talking about this because I think it's relevant to this. I think that a lot of these people, there's a lot that's been talked about the Canaanites and Moloch. Moloch demands sacrifice, children, and all this other stuff. The blood of innocence needs to be spilled. And a lot of these people, I believe, that are doing what they're doing, I believe that all these different creatures and demons, whatever, they're just different incarnations of the same want and lust. They want blood. They want death, you know. Yeah. So do you understand what I'm saying? Like where I'm going with this? When you start to look at this, there's always this demonic dogman companion that follows these creatures, whatever you want to call them, that kind of does their bidding or whatever. And I think that they benefit from the death, you know. And so to me, that's why they're attacking. And I think that the reason that the Tlaxcalans were so quick they looked at the once they figured out that the Spaniards were their enemy, they were the enemy of my enemies, my friend type thing. They were so eager to accept their religion because they thought that this is, you know, they're the people that have been promised. They had been the holdouts, you know. They were like, we're going to be delivered, you know. And so they went in and they destroyed the Aztecs. And now a lot of people say, oh, well, they became slaves after they were already slaves. The Aztecs were already enslaving everyone. They were already murdering everyone. So, you know, whatever. You can make what you will of it. They brought the cross to them. They brought Christ, whatever. And you know, a lot of people, a lot of detractors of God and Christ and people who don't want to believe in that, they love to point out the Spaniards didn't deliver them. They became their enslavers. And then there's this big push to make the Aztecs like the symbol of Mexico, and for them to be touted as like, you know, when you think of pride, you got to think of them. When in reality, they were the worst. They were the most deviant. They were the most vile, and they murdered and killed the most of their Mexican neighbors than any other tribe. And so it's so twisted and backwards. What gets glorified and what gets put up on a pedestal, it seems like nowadays is always the bad. It's always whatever, the darkness is always, you know, and the good is vilified. And so then we're cast into doubt with everything that these people are doing. The idea of someone turning into a ravenous beast is so out of the realm of possibility. But in Satanism, and I can tell you this from firsthand, I wasn't a Satanist, my brother was. And so I did a lot of digging and researching into his religion. His religion was do what thou wilt. Now, he's converted to Christianity, but he did dwell in the darkness for a long time. And one of the things I learned from the order that he was a part of, these people believed in, you know, you are your own God. And to try to turn yourself into a ravenous beast was one of their goals, because you throw off the shackles of being a man and you become a deity unto yourself by becoming a ravenous beast. And one of the things that was taught to a lot of these Satanists, and one of the things that is taught to them, is to try to attain the level of where you're anointed by dark entities that will bestow upon you the secrets to this matrix we live in, to where you can completely transform into said beast and devour the flesh of man. In particular, the drinking of blood, which is something that the vampires do. And yes, I said vampires because that's what they are. And some of them move on to another level and they become werewolf type creatures or cat type creatures. I'm not joking, folks. You think I'm playing, you think I'm joking around. I'm not joking with this. I have a lot of experience with this, and I'm coming out right now tonight, and I'm telling you this is the truth. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that I've been a witness to these people shapeshifting because I'd be lying if I said that I have not. But is it possible that this is what's going on? Now, I'm saying this is the truth. This is what a lot of these people believe. Okay? That's what I'm telling you, the absolute truth. They will literally tell you, if they're comfortable with you, they'll tell you. And I've had many of them tell me. Now, I met a vampire cult here in Austin. I was literally at the Kirby Lane down the drag, and I was with like 10 of my friends. We were all in there eating, and this vampire cult, they started talking to us. They were sitting next, they were very polite, but they told us they participated in the drinking of blood. And I asked this guy point blank, who called himself, now in Diablo and Scorpion, if I'm lying, you know, if you're in the chat, I hope you could connect. This guy called himself Baby Eater 99. That was his handle. And I asked this guy point blank, I said, do you participate in killing and murdering people? And he just kind of bowed his head and laughed and said, well, it's always an option.
Like Moloch.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about him being a worshiper of Moloch or a follower of Moloch, but yes, but like Moloch, yes. And so these people, I'm telling you right now, they exist. They absolutely exist. And when you're on the fringes of society like we are, people are like, oh, you believe in all this, whatever. Let me tell you something, folks. You need to arm yourself physically and spiritually, dude, because it is a war. There's spiritual warfare being waged right now. These people are real. They do what they do. Now, whether they really can do what they say that they can do, you know, I have not personally witnessed that. So I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you and say I have. But I have talked to multiple people who claim that they've seen it. I mean, like hundreds, okay? And these people claim that they get their power from satanic means. And they don't always claim the same God. They don't always say, it's Lucifer or whatever. Some of them are Luciferian, some of them aren't. But they do say Satan. But Satan is a catch-all. Yes. Satan is Shaitan. And a Shaitan is a race of beings that are evil jinn. Look it up. Now, they do claim that that's what they do. They interact with these shaitan and they give them the abilities to do these things. So that being said, I'm just going to leave it with that. And so that, yeah, I didn't mean to get all carried away on what I was saying, but you guys understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I'm going to let you guys run because it's getting late. It's almost midnight here in the Lone Star State. And Justin, thank you so much for coming on and telling your side of it and being so patient and gracious to wait. Thank you for being a man in the field and doing lots of really, really good research and being a stand-up person that I believe you have given me a lot of good information. And there's been a free flow between me and you, and I want that to continue. And I appreciate your time. Dana, same with you. You give me a ton of good information. You give me leads and all kinds of things and food for thought. Keep it coming. I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate that you're both you're leaving here cordial. You don't have to be friends, but you don't have to be enemies either.
Well, we don't have to be enemies. I think it keeps a balance.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's got what he's got, but I still want him to keep in mind they could be bald-faced lying to him because it's happening all over the United States.
Yeah.
Just because it's in writing doesn't mean it's so.
That's right. And so I want everybody here to understand that we were not, we did not set this up to try to make them argue. We only wanted them to tell their sides because there were two opposing sides. And I wanted you guys in the audience to understand that we here at PRT try to do our best. I try to be the best amateur journalist that I can, and just try to do whatever it is that needs to be done and look into both sides. And that's what I did. And I didn't choose sides. Okay?
Even privately, he didn't choose sides. And I'll attest to that anytime.
Yeah.
But I can see more what you're saying now. And you're not such a bad guy after all, Justin.
Well, I appreciate it. I try not to be.
Yeah.
There's one thing I want to address here real quick, Josh, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Looking in the chat room, Martin Groves, I don't know if he's still in there, what's going on, but he's claiming, just like I've been hearing in several different places, some special information that he knows about this case. Martin, reach out to me. Talk to me. Let me know what's going on. Let me know where you're getting your information. What's coming on. He's claiming that there was two witnesses that described the attack, they saw it, and they said it was an upright walking creature. Talk to me about this. Let me know what's going on, man. I'm not against changing my mind if the information is there.
Well, and that's what you said to me when we talked. You said, change my mind.
Exactly.
And then after
I changed my mind somewhat, but I still think it was cryptid.
Yep. I went into this looking for it to be Dogman. Because the area was right. It's along the river. It's in Appalachia. I mean, I know this is a huge
cemetery.
Dogman. Well, a cemetery is relatively geographically close, but I don't think it ties in that close. It wasn't at a cemetery. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But if you have information, the Martin Groves, reach out to me. Talk to me. You know, but here's my thing is show me where you're getting it from. I don't do this. Well, I heard so-and-so on this YouTube channel make this claim because I reached out to so-and-so. You know what I mean? Like back it up. Let's have this conversation. Show me, teach me, and I'm open to learn. That's anybody out there that says they've got information on this case that's not being released or, you know, but back it up for me. Show me where I can find this information out.
Yeah. Okay, guys, well, I'm going to let you run, all right? I appreciate both of you being on. Thank you so much for your time. And, guys, as always, we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Dana, it was a pleasure talking with you voice to voice.
It was a pleasure to talk to you. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.
So I hope everybody could hear that and understand it. And you know, I just wanted to try to bring you, you know, what I know. That's all I'm trying to do. And when we have this conference in August, I hope everybody goes. Eventbrite was where we're selling the tickets at. There will be 265 tickets available. I know that's not a whole lot. But this is our first year doing it. So we're hoping that, you know, me and Ken and Gerhard are hoping that it sells out and that we have a little something at least to give the speakers, because most of them have all of them have agreed to do it for free. They've agreed to speak for free. I haven't offered anybody money because we don't know how much we're going to have. I mean, but if I make anything, it's going to go to the speakers, and I'm going to do a ton of giveaways. I'm going to bring my best. If you guys buy a ticket and you go, I'm going to give you a show. Okay, you're going to get a show. I'm going to do everything I can to make it the best conference ever, and we're going to try and do it again. If it works out, we'll do it again, and we'll do it again, and we'll do it again. Okay, and we'll do one every year. Okay, I was invited to do conferences last year in October. You know, I did like 9 shows, other people's shows, and I was like, and people were like, "Hey, we're going to have a conference. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's going to be in blah blah blah." You know, and I was like, "No." You know, and it had nothing to do with the pandemic. For me, it was just as simple. I just did not have time. My business is running, and I got to be able to make sure that, you know, like I told Ken, I have things I got to take care of business wise. I got to make sure my business is up and going good, and everything's running, and I can leave it behind for a few days. I'm already going in May, which is next month, after Anthony graduates from architecture school. Yay! Congratulations to Anthony, very smart kid. He's going to go and graduate, whatever, and then we're going to head up to Wisconsin. And then I'll know a little more from talking and hanging out with Linda in person to know whether or not she can make it to the conference. And if she gets better, she's getting better, she's on the upswing, and, you know, maybe she can make it. Not saying she's going to be able to speak, but, you know, hopefully she can make it. It says here, Josh, can you stop scalpers from my well, hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't think that will, you know. But yeah, this is going to be, I mean, when I started reading the list off to the individuals that were already, you know, talking about they wanted to go and speak, whatever, they were like, wow, because they all want to be a part of this event too. We haven't had an event like this where there were that many people. I didn't think I was that popular. People always talking about, Josh Turner, he's a fat bearded butthole, blah blah blah. Let me tell you something. And then, you know, and then they literally waste their whole lives cyber stalking me, showing up in every negative comment section they can possibly show up at, and ooh, they're mad. And then they go to the groups. They go to the groups, and they're like, Josh Turner's in this group, blah, blah, blah. I just leave. I've left like probably 50 groups. About 30 of them probably asked me to come back, and I was like, no, I'm good. If you're not going to stop them from just assaulting me verbally on there, or with their little, because let me tell you something, everybody's a real tough guy when they're on their phone. When you're on your phone and you're talking all that trash, you're all real tough on the computer. Boy, you think you're tough? Guess what? Why don't you meet me in person? I don't pretend to be the baddest dude in the world, okay? There's 10% of this planet that could probably beat me up. They're called professional fighters, and they train all the time. I know a lot of them. I'm 46. I'm not the greatest of anything of all time of anything. I'm just a guy. But I'm straightforward, and people don't like that. They like people to be fake. People love for people to kiss their butt and just pretend to be something they're not. I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that. When I'm enthusiastic to talk to somebody and I say, hey, man, it's great to talk to you, I really mean that. I mean, it's great to talk to you. I am enthused to talk to you. I want to talk to you. I love my listeners to death. I love them. And I love my friends that are authors. I love my research friends. I love my fellow podcasters. I want everybody to get along. I wish we were all just one big happy family. That sounds ridiculous. And I don't want to sound like, I want to go live in a hippie commune or anything. Well, I'll just have a giant bowl of food. Well, I'll just have one spoon and take a little bit. No, because that's not how life works. Somebody's going to hoard all the food and then charge you. Because that's what happens when people start getting gullible and you think that everything is just good. Because it's not. Some really bad, dark people out there. I want to do my best to protect my listeners as much as possible from these crazy people, these charlatans, these money mongers. And if you're in it for the money, and I know that you are, and I 100%, I'm not going to deal with you. Nobody on that list, or there's going to be a speaker or on the panel or in any shape or form, not one of those people said, let's talk money. All right, Mr. Turner, let's talk about how much you're going to pay me to do this. My response would have been, click. They all said, dude, what can I do to help? What do you want me to do? I'm absolutely thrilled. I'll do it. Yes, everybody. There's one speaker that may not be able to do it because he might have some family obligations because he does have to take care of stuff, so he may not be able to go. But we have so many people to fill in that it's not a big deal. If he can't make it, he can't make it. I totally understand. I get it. I'll get you back, dude. Don't worry. I'm just kidding, dude. And seriously, if you're a speaker and you can't make it, don't make it. Because we have like 14 people that are lined up, ready to go. So it's not a big deal, okay? No pressure. And if somebody drops out, say 5 people drop out, you still got like 8, 9 people that are the big names that are going to talk. They're all big names. There's no lightweights in this lineup, dude. The only people I didn't really know that well going into this were like Ron Murphy. Was one of the people I really hadn't met until like a couple months ago. I think it was on Lon's show. Maybe it was 6 weeks ago or something like that. And Ron is amazing. Ron, I'm telling you, Ronald Murphy's that guy, and he does a heck of a presentation, and he is an amazing guy. He knows his stuff. Nick Redfern, of course, is a big name. He's a prolific author, and he's going to do a presentation on a werewolf presentation, and he's going to talk about some stuff, and Ken's going to MC. And I'm not going to get up there and hog the stage, folks. I'm not. I'm going to talk and do my 40 minutes, whatever. That's it. You're not there to hear me talk. You hear me talk every Tuesday. You hear me talk on Fridays on the podcast. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go up there and take over and do whatever. These people, you're there to see them. You can meet me and my team in person, or a few people from my team. And then, you can pick our brains and we can talk and we can do whatever. But I know you're going to meet these other people, my colleagues. And I know that. I'm not, going to sit up there and blab and take over, because that's not what I want to do. I want everyone else to get their say in and what they got to say about this phenomenon. I'm just a guy who experienced it firsthand and decided, you know what? I want answers. I want to know what we're dealing with. And it's something that interested me enough to keep trying to keep looking and interview hundreds of people. You know, and some people's stories are pretty fantastical. Some people's aren't. Some people's are, you know, and some people are willing to go out there and say their names. And a lot of people don't want that. It's hard to get somebody to come out and say, hey, I saw an 8-foot tall werewolf tried to kill me and eat me. It's just not a popular thing that normal people want to do. And most of these people are pretty normal, other than they had some weird encounter. We started late. Folks, we were in the studio for an hour trying to get this thing going. I think it had something to do with the title. So we were having a heck of a time trying to get this going. And the studio is freezing. It is freezing in here. I don't know why. It's like 70 degrees outside or something. It's like 50 in here. I'm not joking. I walked into the studio and I could see my freaking breath. So I don't know what's going on here, man. I don't know if it's the nature of the subjects we talk about. I've had a couple people come in here to clean and say that weird things have happened. They heard something moving around in one of the rooms, and I'm like, really? And I had somebody come in here to get some files and get some stuff, and he said that he heard voices. I don't know. Is the studio haunted? Maybe. You know, why not? It's all related, folks. Trust me. Everybody that stuck with us tonight, I appreciate it so much. I wanted to read some names of some people that actually won the giveaways. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to get on that. My wife has been really sick, and I've been not feeling good, and we've just been not. So I feel bad that we haven't been able to get on that, but I haven't forgot you. And I'm going to get your stuff out to you. I'm not Tony no Llores or Loris. I don't know how you say that, but I owe you. I'm going to get your stuff to you. Loria Neely, I owe you. I'm going to get your stuff to you. Rhonda Gates, Amy Denise or Denise, and Julie Roland Shearer. I owe all you guys an autographed book. And I'm going to send you some stuff to make it worth your while for the wait. I apologize. Do me a favor, all of you, if you're listening, and send me your shirt size, the ones that I named right there, if you're listening, if you're out there. And let me see if I can get you a shirt too. I apologize for the wait. It's been one thing after another where I missed it on Friday. They closed early on me and I couldn't get it, you know, and so pain in the butt. But, you know, I'm going to try hard to get in there tomorrow. Today I just felt so bad. I didn't get much sleep, and you know, the show was ready to go and I had everything, but that was just, and then we got here and it was an hour and 10 minutes of trying to get the show going. I don't know why. And then when we got going and we had 450 people in the chat and Dana was talking and was making points, then they smacked us down. And then Facebook wouldn't let us link them together on the messenger. So we just, you know, couldn't get Barton on. It was just, you know, nothing was working. And so now we finally got it done. I just had to put them on three-way on my phone and just get it done. Jennifer Metzger, where do you post the merchandise pics? Go to Facebook group Josh. I was going to give my email. My email is joshturner@prtpodcast.com, and the website is prtpodcast.com. And I'm Josh Turner 940 on Instagram. Join me on Instagram. And you can hit me up on Facebook. Send me a message letting me know that you're a listener of the show so I can put you on. And you can become a pal or, you know, whatever. We can communicate, whatever. But do me a favor, please. And I'm going to ask this. I don't want anything. And please don't send me any weird. I mean, like, I don't mind the weird stuff, the stories and things like that. But I don't need anything weird like your body. Please let's not do that. I was talking to Kenny Irish about that the other day, and apparently he gets it too. So, yeah, I'd like that. I'd like to not have that happen. If you please just have enough respect for me and remember I am married. I know I'm handsome, you know, but I'm married and I love my wife. So please don't send me, you know, anything. But yeah, Jennifer, you can post the pictures on the Paranormal Roundtable group. That's where we drop the link. We'll drop the link to this show too, and people will be chosen to win a prize, which we do every show. And sometimes we choose 2 people, and our moderators are all gone because some of them actually couldn't get back on. I don't know what was going on. We had 100 people that couldn't get back on. Barton Nunley was in there. He couldn't get back on. And then after the show came back, I saw Ken was gone. So I don't know what happened to my colleagues. And I don't, all my admins, my moderators were gone. So I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Nah, I shouldn't lie. He's a good guy. But anyway, the point is, it was very weird. We had a lot of weird stuff that started out today. It just started off bizarre. Don't know what was going on. But we got it done. If you go back and listen, this is 2 parts because the first show got destroyed. If you go back and watch, we were at 400 and something people, and then it just went off the rails. So, yeah. So anybody that's listening, we're going to drop the link to this show, Paranormal Roundtable Group. Put a comment on there, might win something. We do it every show. We also have Paranormal Encounters, which is Mushu, that's Tony's group, and then we have Paranormal Lounge, which is Nellie's group. We have what's the other one? We have Paranormal Trucker Podcast, which is John King. We have Whisper to a Scrim, which is Ryan Tremblay. Coalition of Quad Sciences, which is Nick Valente. Let me read the rest of them real quick to you. So you know what groups. These are the good groups to go join because I am the admin in these groups. So hope to see you there. And we have Paranormal Roundtable Prayer Group, which is Nellie's. And then we have Dogman Well of Discussion, which is Phil Stern and Della Carter. They do a great job. The Wolf Turner PRT fan page, which is created by Phil Stern, Christopher Clough, and Curtis are always in there doing stuff. And then I'm also in D.A. Roberts' North American Dogman Project, Region 2. I am a admin for that, for D.A. Roberts. Great guy. He's going to be there too. Don't forget D.A. Roberts, super duper guy. Great fictional author, dude. If you want fiction stuff, which I'm not big in fiction, okay? And I'm not a paid promoter here, but I'm going to tell you this. This guy has the best stories about fictional stuff. If you want to read fiction, he's got a great podcast here. He talks about real stuff, but he writes fictional books based around the cryptid encounters people have and stuff. Cool. Wild Hunt, dude, let me tell you, check it out, man. D.A. Roberts, okay? Go check him out, D.A. Roberts. I'm just saying, that guy's got it going. So, great author. And another one, I just read a couple of his books, Steve Stockton, great guy. Had a great conversation with him. Josh Nanocchio, great guy from What Lurks Beneath. We were on the phone for like 2.5, 3 hours. Great guy, and they're going to be there. Tony Merkel, another guy that I like. And, of course, Jason Bland, wonderful guy from Paranormal Soup. Those guys... Those are the guys that I refer when you want to podcast, you want to listen to paranormal shows. Those are the guys. Those are my go-to guys. Okay, so check it out. Josh on What Lurks is just prolifically posting content constantly. 185,000 subscribers on one of his channels. Okay. But anyway, guys, those are the people. And I don't care. People say, "Oh, well, you're in competition. It takes you away from." No, I don't care. I don't give a crap. I don't do this for the money, dude. Okay? Everybody's like, he does this for the money. He does this for the money. Yeah. Yeah, I could get more standing on the corner here in Austin and begging for change. I talked to a homeless guy a couple of weeks ago. You know what he told me? He said he makes like $400 a day. And I was like, I could get more by doing that than I can from the show. Like the last couple of weeks, I didn't get much of donations on the show. And like I said, I don't want to have to put a bunch of commercials on there. So you know what? I just lose out. I just don't like. It cost me more to go and do the show than it did that I made back. So for these people who are accusing me of making all this money, where's it at? Because literally, I could go and with a squeegee and stand on the corner and talk to people that are right there, and probably would get more out of. What I actually thought about was how many people interact with this homeless guy. And I said, would you be willing to share the corner with me? And the guy was like, sure, buddy. And I'm not being funny or cute. The guy's name was like Wesley or something. I don't remember his name. But anyway, I said, say, man, I said, would you, or what did he say his name was? Anyway, he said, yeah, you could share the corner with me. And I thought, oh, this would be great. What I need to do is just stand out here with flyers and just hand them to people in the car that come to the cars. You know what I mean? And so I thought about hiring these homeless people in the corners just to have flyers and hand them to people, and I would pay them. But then, you know, I thought, some of these people are really not all there. And some of these people, you know, they're going to be like, I'm not taking a flyer from this person because this person's been, you know, sitting down, you know, in a dirty place all day. So I thought maybe that's not the best way to promote, but I thought, why don't I just do it myself? I could just stand out there and walk up to the car and be like, here you go, listen to Paranormal Roundtable. Probably give away 1,000 a day. So that's an idea. So Wiley or whatever your name was, I thought about it, and he was pretty clean compared to a lot of the other ones. So I thought, well, you're not just too disheveled. Maybe I could employ you to get my show better, because you're making more money doing this on the corner than I'm making on my show. And he's like, well, you get your better gig, man. I'm like, yeah, I know. I told him I had a company, I did other ventures that made money. But he said he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do this. He's making too much money begging. So that's a sad reality. But for those that did donate, thank you tonight for the help. I appreciate it. The tickets, like I said, they're $30 for the regular admission. You get a $10 discount if you're a Patreon member. Buy the ticket and I'll refund you the $10. If you're a $20 tier Patreon member, and then if you want to be a VIP, you get $15 off the VIP ticket, and I'll refund you the $15. Just let me know that you did buy the ticket. Show me the proof, whatever, and we will expedite that. Thank you for listening, folks. Everybody, I love you. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for listening.